you ready?
Uh-huh.
Okay, we're rolling. What you got there?
BLT.
Okay. Why do you have a BLT?
It's not a regular BLT, Becca.
No, it's got banana peppers on it.
It's a BLT raw.
What are you doing? Oh, you're throwing peppers everywhere.
Did the sound effects happen?
Nope. And the B stands for?
For balance. Balance is really important. She doesn't have good balance. Work on your balance. Balance is probably the hardest thing to teach in that there's different preferences. What I would say is we're gonna try our best to help establish a standard of what we're shooting for. We're not trying to mix our preferences. We're trying to mix what is consistent and what we've worked with musicians on, what we've all agreed our sound should be like. So you start with your vocals. Second is your rhythm, which is your bass and your drums. Third is keys and electric, and they should be about the same level. And you might be asking, okay, that's great. Where's acoustic? Again, we'll go over just specifics with you at a different time, but just want you to generally know that balance is a really big deal. How you move your faders.
Next is the L. We're talking about levels. We're talking about output levels. So there are a couple of things to keep in mind with this. We are talking about the overall level of worship and the overall level of everything else. So worship is obviously going to be louder. It's got more instruments, more things are going on, more transients, things like that. And then the speaking level will be a little bit quieter. We're totally fine with that. That's what we expect and what we want.
Because it's something that is kind of changing right now as we're figuring out what the best level of the stream should be, those are going to change. And so you can look in the description to see specifically what we should be metering at as we're doing our broadcast mix. So I'll freeze real quick and you can look below.
You don't need to freeze there, and they can literally just hit pause. Nope, we're okay. Sticking with it.
There you go. T's for transitions. You need to hand where you're going and where you're coming from on the faders. You might think, Aaron, I'm a really good mixer. I don't need to do that. I can do it on the fly. That's nice. Please don't. Because what will end up happening is if you miss a transition, it'll sound like this. See how dumb that was? You want to move on 3. So 5, 4, 3, start fading up at 3. Move up before you move down. Up before you move down. Again, see also the awkward part. Don't be awkward.
That was your BLT. Now we're going to move on to the 3 details of that and 3 specific things that you need to be doing to make all the 3 above much better. And that is...
Raw!
The R in raw stands for reference level. This is talking about the level at which you are listening back to what you are mixing. So that can be through the speakers or through headphones or whatever else. Mainly it's going to be the speakers that you're using in the broadcast booth. So Aaron and I typically listen between -30 and -20 on the fader strip. And that's because we kind of like vary between those two. And the reason for that is...
Loud, you're listening for tone. Quiet, you're listening for balance. What it has to do with is basically equal loudness curves. You can Google that, or you can ask your local acoustician. While Becca said that we listen at -20 or -30, that might change. If you want to have the most up-to-date information, look at the description down below.
Again, they can just hit the pause button.
Ambient mics. So ambient mics are important because you want to hear what's happening in the room. And if someone tells a joke, and it's really funny, they give a punchline and then it sounds like this. That's awkward.
W is for worship transitions, and it's the last piece in our lovely BLT Raw puzzle. So that's just talking about when the worship leader comes up to speak for a welcome or a prayer or their scripture in the middle, in between songs, anytime like that when they're actually speaking instead of singing, their level tends to drop significantly, so we just want to make sure that we're pushing them up in that moment and bringing the band down slightly, and then also killing the effects, especially like delay. You can leave some verb in there, that's kind of nice, especially for people at home. It's not suddenly going dry. but just make sure you're killing delay, push them up, pull the band back a little bit so we can hear them.
So thanks for joining us. I hope that was helpful. Just remember BLT raw, so balance, level, transition.
Reference level, ambient, worship transitions.
BLT raw.